Steve, I was thinking with cookies. Oh, well.
That's live.
Alight Solutions not only has, solutions that they provide for their, customers, but they provide pizza solutions for Misa, so we're happy about that. You like that?
Yeah.
So, spring break, good?
Yes.
Never long enough, right? Just when you got the hang of not having to come here, you gotta come back. So, well, we're halfway through the semester with spring break, so we're closer to the end than we were from the beginning. So that should make you feel either really excited or stressed out. So either way, we're just happy that Misa's back. And we have one of our returning companies coming tonight. So they've been coming here. I'd say things like 2 name changes even prior with Terra. So you may, but really great company. I don't want to spoil all the talk that they're going to talk about, but really great if you're interested in Workday. When you talk about cloud-based software in terms of HR. If you're interested in like consulting, and the really great thing that I like about this company is that you don't necessarily have to be a technical person to be able to find a position there. So they're looking for a lot more people skills, certain things of that nature. So without any further ado, can we give a nice warm welcome to the team from the Alight Group?
Hi, thank you everybody. First off, thank you for having us. Jealous that you guys actually get a spring break. So enjoy them when you still have them. So my name is Jose Chamon. I'm an integrations delivery manager at Alight Solutions. Basically, anytime that we have integrations, which we'll get over into a little bit, I manage that aspect of the project as well as helping some of our developers and consultants with the integrations. And then,
Samantha Duboff. I've been with Alight for about 2 years now. I've been with Workday CES for almost 1 year now, and I'm a Workday financial analyst, so I deal with the financials on the Workday side.
I'm Heather Blum. I'm also a Workday financial analyst with Sam. I've been in the CDS or the Workday practice for 2 years now, just about. I was hired as a college student into our college new hire program called Ignite. So kind of what you guys would say if you were to come to our company, you'd be in the same shoes that I was about 2 years ago.
okay. So CDS, you heard it before, is Cloud Deployment Solutions. Basically, that's what Workday is. Workday is an HCM provider on the cloud, so there's no actual installation, so that's why Cloud Deployment Solutions. So a little bit more about our company. So we have 14 different global delivery centers with about 22,000 colleagues. The number obviously fluctuates a little bit more or less depending on when we are in the hiring process and so on. We have about 1,400 clients, including 50% of the Fortune 500 companies that are currently in one way or another customers of Alight Solutions and CDS. And we serve about 19 million customers, so that includes different areas, so from employment to benefits to the ones that are actually getting our consulting services. There's about 19 million clients plus the families of all of these clients.
So our values at Alight is just the overall culture that we like to have in office, and just how we like to present ourselves to our clients. So our office is a pretty laid back environment. We like to live by people matter, so they value their associates and everything like that. Excellence every day, just delivering great work no matter what. Act now. Alight definitely enforces, like, if you have an idea or if there's something that needs to be done, like, get on it right away and don't just wait for someone to ask you. And then be real, which is always very important. Just be like a genuine person, be honest with people and that kind of stuff, and then think forward, just trying to foster that innovative culture.
And these are all values that not only do you share with clients, you share with each other. So one of the things that we value is that making sure that everybody next to you, does work, does provide, good quality work, and you can rely on they tell you stuff. So that's something, that no matter what company you go to, make sure you look at whatever core values they have, because it will kind of tell you what culture they foster going forward. So I think that's something that's very important.
So cloud deployment solutions, you might be wondering, what is that? So what we do is we deploy, as in we build a company's Workday system for them. And once we build it, we go through the architect phase where we go through like what their needs are, what they're currently doing on and then we figure out how we can translate that into Workday language, and then we build it for them, and then teach them how to use it and get them live so it's a fully functioning system. And so we do functional consulting, which is that's where we go through the whole process of learning their business and creating their system. Integrations, which Jose will speak to more on later. Data conversions, which is just like massive loads of data going in from the legacy system to Workday. We have these things called iLoads that we use for that. So if you do Workday, you'll learn about that later. And then change management, which is just like dealing with the day-to-day changes and what's going on with Workday. And as you can see, we have 678 Workday certified consultants. So Alight Workday Solutions. So what is Workday? I kind of went a little bit about that earlier. It's a human capital management system and financial management solutions. So as you might have heard earlier, Heather and I are on the financial side, so we can speak more to that if any of you guys have any questions later. But we do have some knowledge on human capital management. So some of the abilities Workday has is reporting and integrations. So reporting, there's so many different reporting aspects you can use as a client to use different financial, like, different financial things, or also, like, if you're doing time tracking, you can see what employees are booking different time things, or time codes, and payroll, just so many different things that you can report off of, and just see how your business is working, and that's supposed to be all of it. So, Alight's Workday Solutions, so Workday functionality, kind of talked to it a little bit earlier, so you can elect benefits, you do payroll, accounting and finance, recruiting, time tracking, procurement, expenses, talent management, and workforce analytics. So for like something that maybe you guys would understand, if like Workday is used by FAU, and if any of you guys have ever worked for FAU or just any company in general, if you're provided benefits, you have to elect benefits, and Workday provides a platform where it shows all the benefits options and just gives it a very user-friendly way to elect what you need for your benefits. Also, expenses, like I help configure expenses. You can do expense reports on Workday. So if you buy something on the company card or something like that, you need to expense it to the company. This is where you're going to enter in your information and it's going to process where you're going to get reimbursed. And then procurement, I also configure that, kind of like online shopping, where you, like Workday allows you to go into the system, pick certain items, you put it in your cart, check out, and all that good stuff. So one of the good things about Workday is how user-friendly it is, and it's pretty cool when you configure it just to see all the different kinds of functionality it has.
Whenever I have a client that goes from, a legacy system like PeopleSoft is a big one that I convert a lot of clients off of to a platform like Workday. The first thing they say is, wow, this is so much easier to use. Because they're not logging into a database system that's hosted on a separate server. It's something that, you have a URL that you go to on the internet. Everything's hosted in the cloud, so it makes it much more user-friendly, and also because it's a newer system and newer platform, their interface is very, very kind of millennial feeling. We have like different, what looks like apps, but what they call worklets, to kind of Workday-nize it. So it's all those things that kind of make Workday kind of the hot new product that a lot of big companies and small companies too, which I see, are buying into this product as their solution for ERP and financial solutions.
So what we're looking for is people for functional consultants, time solutions, HCM recruiting, finance, total rewards, and technical integrations. So that may sound a little confusing right now, but if you want to talk to us, we could also, like, based on your likes and what you're good at, we could also help suggest something like that. We're looking for someone with a strong analytical and problem-solving background, communication, adaptability, passion for continued learning, leadership, and initiative. So these are all kind of generic things, just someone that's always willing to learn and adapt to new challenges. One of the good things about like our company, like no matter how new you are, your opinion's always valued. And once you feel comfortable with something, if you reach out to a lead on a project, they will give you like very important work if you feel confident and if you show that you can do it. And to expand on this, when we say we build the system, you might be thinking like, oh my God, do I have to code? Do I have to know how to code? Not at all. So what we do technically when we deploy Workday is the software itself. There are developers at Workday that build the actual system. What we do is we configure Workday and we kind of take what it's already been built and coded, and we manipulate it to do what the companies that we're working with want it to do. So we have the raw materials here, and now we're almost arranging it in a certain way. We use conditional logic and things like that to help build our system. So if you don't have a strong technical background, you can still do stuff. We put everyone through Workday training. Alight does a great job preparing people for training. So by the time you get done with training, you'll be good to go. There's like a great ramp-up process to teach new consultants how things are working. And also communication skills are super important because it's a very client-facing role. You'll be speaking with the client often, kind of giving advice on, like with your knowledge of what's going to work best for their system. So a lot of moving parts here.
So now we're going to go into more of the solutions that Sam mentioned a little bit earlier on the slide with a bunch of like procurement, expenses, HCM. We're going to go into what are the different domains within, or functional areas within Workday. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called HCM, Human Capital Management. It's Workday's way of saying HR. Basically, this is kind of the core foundation of a Workday platform, the Workday system. So if you've ever worked at a company, which I'm sure many of you guys have, part-time jobs maybe at college, maybe work something at high school, maybe you are looking into applying to work at a certain company or logging into a system that has, their application portal. All of that is housed when you're working for a company. When you go in to look at your employee profile, so like your employee ID, your compensation, whether you have any spouses, if they also have benefits elected through Workday, the whole, all that information, all of your employee profile, and who's your manager, who's your team, all of that information is housed within the system. And that's what we configure. We decide how best to display this information and how best this information routes within Workday. So for example, let's say you're up for a big, promotion within, at your company. Within the system, you go ahead and be entered into a merit cycle, which would probably route to your manager for approval. Things like that are what we call business processes. So how does a process flow work within the system? Now, every company is very different, which is why, again, we're not coding, but we're configuring. We're making the code that already exists behind Workday work for the company and what they need to achieve, the best harmonized solution for their HR and capital management needs. So any questions on what HCM kind of does and stands for? No? Okay. What is finance? So finance, Sam and I can talk to you a little bit more in depth because it's actually where we sit. I was first certified in HCM, but then I transitioned over to the finance role pretty quickly. Finance is one of the newer areas within Workday. It's also one of the fastest growing. Basically, what we're configuring now within the Workday system is not necessarily how employees talk to their managers about compensation and your benefits elections, merit bonus, stock plans. We're talking more about the day-to-day financial activities of a company. So how is all those accounting transactions housed in the system? And how is that company reporting on those transactions? So anything from your accounts payable transactions, things like creating supplier invoices, to any of your AR transactions, or accounts receivable, where you are spending, where you're receiving money from your customer invoices. We also have things like inventory. We can house business assets in the system. Things like that are how Workday can help provide a better reporting solution and one big place for all of their journals to sit within a solution for a company.
Just to piggyback off that a little bit, if any of you guys in the room are accounting or finance majors, it's super cool because you get to learn the information systems aspect of things, but also apply your financials or accounting knowledge, because there's a lot of crossover here where you get the accounting entries and different spending transactions and stuff like that.
So Sam and I both work on the same team. We work with AP transactions on our spend pillar. So as you can see, the way we kind of divide it up within Alight is FGM financial accounting, so that's just kind of core financial accounting, where you're dealing with creating your ledger accounts, how certain things post to different places. Then we have revenue management, so how companies make money, and then what we focus on, which is spend management, which is how companies spend money. So earlier Sam was talking about, online shopping. That's what we configure. Yes.
So AP is accounts payable, correct?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, you're all good. Yeah, so we configure accounts payable transactions with the system. So thinking about purchase orders, supplier invoices, inventory, expense reports, things of that nature.
Yeah, there's a lot of lingo that a lot of times, because we do it on an everyday basis, we kind of throw it out there. So if you don't understand something that we're saying, obviously feel free to stop us and ask us.
Trust me, our clients stop us all the time. They're like, what is that? Explain it to me in the way I've been doing it currently. So no question is dumb question. Workday has their own way of calling everything. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move right on.
So the next one is time solutions. As you know, the title kind of says, it's basically tracking your time, timesheets, time clock, and that type of stuff, as well as dealing with absence management. So if any of you guys have gone to a job where you have to clock in, swipe a card to say when you start and that type of stuff. So all that, Workday is able to house that as well. And then behind the scenes, depending on how the client wants that configured, then we're able to do whether you're getting paid regular time, overtime, what type of overtime rules we have, what type of shift you're gonna get paid. And then with the absence, are you taking holidays, are you taking paid time off? Are you taking bereavement, unpaid leave, and that type of stuff? All that is configured within the Workday system, so the employees are able to enter that time. And in the Workday system, depending on how it's customized or configured in the back end, we're able to process that. So that's a very kind of straightforward pillar. Any other questions on that one? No? Okay. The next one is total rewards. So total rewards is a little bit more complex. So basically it deals with your compensation, your performance management, your benefits, and your learning management. So those are all very big things. So basically when you're talking to your manager about performance, how you did last year, setting up your goals for the following year, I want to achieve X amount of growth, or I want to complete the certification, all those things you said on the total rewards area. And in addition, Workday has Workday Learning that falls under what we call total rewards, where basically they house e-learning catalogs in there, such as like online classes. Like I'm sure many of you guys have taken those sexual harassment classes or non-compete type classes online. That once you click on it, it says, okay, now you're not certified, but you're pretty much within standards for 1 year, and then next year you got to renew that. Make sure that you acknowledge that you took it. That's kind of all where it falls in under. Anything on that? Okay. Any other questions about that one? I know I went kind of straight through, but some of these are very straightforward. Not as entertaining as finance and accounting. And then one of my favorites, as I'm an integration delivery manager, is integrations. So integrations is basically moving data from one system to another. One of those two systems is going to end up being Workday for us. The other one depends on what you're integrating to. So we spoke about timesheets and when you clock in. So a lot of jobs, for example, have chronos where you swipe a badge and it records at what time you're coming in, and you swipe out for your lunch, you swipe out for your break, and that type of stuff. So all that data is housed in chronos. So what happens is if you want to get that data into Workday to make sure that person has accurate time, we need to build an integration between Chronos and Workday. Same thing happens if you want to get direct deposit, which I'm sure everybody wants to get paid. Sure, Workday has how many hours you work, what your rate is, and all that data is also Workday. But unless we tell the bank this is how much this person needs to get paid, and the account that you need to pay it to, and what account it's coming from based on the GL and all that stuff that they have configured on the other end, Workday's not going to be able to pay you. The bank has to pay you. So then we send the bank the data to get to get all those payments out there. So that's why I feel a lot of times integrations is a very broad scheme, whereas like the functional areas focus very deep in their areas, and whenever we have questions about how to build certain things, they help us. Integrations is more technical because you're in trying to configure one system to talk to another system, and that gets a little bit technical in those areas. So the functional sides are usually able to help us out and answer all the questions that we have as far as like, hey, what account should we be hitting? What GL is this? Like how should we process this time? For the time people, this person's hourly, but they're working 50 hours. Is that allowed? There's different plans for that. The integration is the one that just moves the data from one system to the other. Any questions on integrations? No? Okay.
Did you guys integrate FAO?
Did we integrate that?
Or did you like?
Did we deploy FAU? Is FAU on?
Yeah.
No. So Alight doesn't normally partake in it's called education appointments. We focus most on different companies that aren't nonprofit education related.
We use Workday.
Yeah, so you guys all know what it looks like. It's very fun, right? I think it's pretty, it looks cute. But there's some hard stuff in the background, some cool logic. But no, we did not deploy FAU.
For the integrations, do you guys have like a standard API that you send to the clients for that?
So it depends. So there's a multiple number of integrations that we use. So we have standard API, we have REST calls, we have actual flat files that we send to FTP, we have web services that call in a report. So it all depends on what you're actually trying to integrate and what the other system accepts. That we have to talk to them at that point during the discovery session and figure out what they need. So some of them are APIs where they just do a call. Some of them, they actually just need a Workday user ID and password, and then their system logs in and pulls the data. And some others is just literally grabbing the file, either a CSV or a text or a fixed width file, sending it to an FTP, encrypted, and then they pick it from that FTP info. So it honestly all depends. Okay.
Any other questions before we move on?
Okay. So training at Alight, as Sam talked about earlier, in order for you to be able to touch the Workday system as a partner, you have to be certified. So the basic certification is called HCM Core, where we send you for about 2 weeks, give or take a couple of days, to either sunny California or beautiful Atlanta, or depending on Chicago, depending on where they have the training. And you sit there with 10, 15 other people, and you just learn Workday. You learn how to set up a business process, how to, analyze specific things, how to set up a company, a structure, and so on. Before we even send you to that, however, our company decides to invest about 2 weeks, to pre-train you to go to this training. So kind of what you're gonna learn in that training, we help you with in order to ensure that you're able to pass the exam. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess for everybody that's in the ecosystem, if you want to be a Workday consultant, you have to be Workday certified. So if you don't pass that exam, you cannot work as a consultant. So it's, contingent on you passing that exam, that you have a job. So.
And then also we do updates every 6 months.
Yes.
For certification.
I was gonna ask, is it possible for like students like us to be Workday certified before we come to work with a?
No, so you have to work for what's called a partner firm. So Workday is basically, we're kind of like a third-party provider of the implementation. Workday owns its own software, we implement it. So Workday allows Alight to have, since they're a partner firm, to have consultants that have these certifications. It's a lot of money exchanged with all of that, so no, you can. Fortunately, if you were to go Google Workday, you're not gonna be able to learn anything ahead of time, but that is why we have that pre-training before you go to Workday's training to make sure that you're fully prepared.
Yeah. And even if you get certified now at Alight, for example, and then you were to leave, unless you go to another partner, your certification is no longer.
It expires after like 6 months because there's an update every 6 months.
Yeah. So you can't just go to a partner, get certified, and then say, I'm gonna start my own consulting firm. The way that the Workday ecosystem works is you have to be with a partner that's able to certify you.
But you can technically go from Alight to another
Correct.
partner, but I'm pretty sure you guys would have to sign like a contract like 2 years, and then you can go if you want.
You said it's every 6 months they do an update. Is that how often you have to get recertified, or is it
Yeah.
every year?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
We have one coming up, it's due May 8th.
Yeah, we get recertified every 6 months, so basically, it's not a 2-week training at that point, it's just a Delta exam. So basically, Workday sends you a link, in their learning system that says, these are the changes that we had. So for example, and it's very specific to the areas that you have. So as I stated, there's an HCM core, then there's, for example, a PMO for project management, there's
Specific finance,
financials. So you only have to take an exam, or the changes exam for that particular pillar. So in their case, they'll take the finance exam, I'll take integrations and PMO exam. Since you said you're HCM certified, so she'll have to take it if she wants to keep up to
So
date.
I have 4 certifications, so I have to take 4 exams every 6 months. But I take them, you're supposed to take them by yourself, but we all help each other out. It's a big learning environment that you have to, that's part of like the Workday or like a life culture where we work hard, play hard, just really focusing, making sure like we work as a team, a cohesive unit to provide what we want to our clients.
And the initial certification may be a little intimidating at first, but once you're certified and you just have to re-up your certification,
It's a lot easier.
it's all just watching videos, just paying attention to the videos, and then answering like multiple choice questions online. So it's not a big deal getting research, like upping your research.
Unless you don't do it. which is like
Yeah,
normal.
then that's a problem.
I'm sorry, I had a question.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's right.
That's okay. So this orientation, so this is after the hiring process,
Yes,
and so it's paid training?
yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good point. So all the training that you do at Alight is paid training. So the minute that you start, you're getting paid. Again, if you go to training and you don't get certified, then that's a different conversation that you will have with your manager at that point. But yes, the training is paid for.
So is, Alight, their main, focus is deploying Workday?
No.
No, okay.
So, this is something we didn't really touch on. So Alight has a lot of other business units. We work for specifically CDS, which is the Workday practice within Alight. We also, Sam actually worked for a year with our, other parts of Alight, so we do other stuff, and we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, sure. So I was a college hire 2 years ago for Alight in Orlando. We have an office there for health and wealth solutions. So it was mostly just like health benefits administration. That's what I was doing. There was also pension and 401k administrative stuff. That's just basically the high level thing. We're obviously here for CDS,
We
but
do the better stuff.
honestly, I do recommend CDS more. I like it a lot better. But yeah, so there's multiple different business units within Alight. There's even AMS within Alight. So within Alight, so that's Workday, but it deals with ongoing processes. So after it's already been deployed, this is like helping
We
people.
run people's Workday after they're
Yeah.
Yeah, it's managed services.
Okay, so
We have 5 minutes left, so we just want to run through the rest of the PowerPoint, and we'll take more of your guys' questions. So just really quickly, for those of you guys who are coming on as new hires, if let's say you apply, because we do have open positions in the Miami office, you'll be starting off as what we call a Workday specialist. So that's what you'll be for about the first, I would say, 9 months of your career. And some of the roles of a Workday specialist is one, to get trained, and 2, be a sponge. That's the biggest piece of advice someone told me. They're like, your job is to be a sponge. You're just supposed to absorb everything, and you're kind of sitting in a shadow role underneath, analysts, consultants, and architects and leads, so people who are much higher than you. And you're just kind of learning the day-to-day activities, listening in on client calls, taking notes, and then once you pass that level, or maybe even sooner, sometimes if you're still a specialist, you'll start actually, doing, talking to the clients and demonstrating some of the actual build activities. Okay. So just really quickly about the new hire, college hire development program. It's called Ignite. I think it's now 6 months. I think this might be 12 months. Yeah, it was short to 6 months, I believe. New hire training program. Basically, you'll be assigned a mentor, and you will be flown out to Chicago, which is where our headquarters are, for a 3-day boot camp with people across all business units, so not just CDS, but everyone in the firm. It's actually where I met Sam for the first time. I was at our Ignite kickoff. So you'll be flown out there to kind of hear from all of our leadership, so our CFO, our CEO, all those people will come and speak to you, because Alight really does invest in our new college hire program. And then also you'll be partaking in about, I think, bi-monthly or monthly streaming sessions with Q&As just about, your first year and your first job coming out of college, to kind of get you ramped up in the professional world.
And what's nice about Ignite, you start with a group of just like freshly hired college students also, usually become friends with them, and it's just like a good way to like still have like a close community of people that are in your same shoes, going through the same thing, and it's a good way to ease into work life.
They really want to help the transition be as smooth as possible. Yeah, so this is just more about what Alight's early career development program is called Ignite. Fun name. I think this is pretty self-explanatory that Alight's just really investing in new hires. A little bit about our Miami office. So this is some pictures of our Miami office. It's a little bit old pictures, because these people don't look this young anymore. But we're a pretty fun group. Jose and myself are on the social committee, and Sam runs our health and wellness committee. So we do committees outside, of our standard day-to-day jobs, talking to clients, dealing with all their nonsense. We do have fun. We do have happy hours every now and then. We had a really kick-ass holiday party this past winter. I thought it was pretty cool. We go to basketball games, baseball games. We have bowling events. We have a family field day every spring. Just things like that keeps the community together. We're a group of tightly knit individuals. There's about 70 of us that are located to the Miami office, and I can say that I have all of their phone numbers in my phone.
Yeah, one of the great things about the office, everybody, there's different interests, across the office, so they set up different groups, for example, to try to play soccer once a week, try to play basketball once a week, to get a group together to do beach cleanup, to do different things, so, people start branching out and finding people that like to do the same thing and then just do that, so it's a lot of fun, and it's a very close-knit group, and I enjoy playing soccer with some of them, not to the same speed as I used to in college. You know, and it's hard to keep up with some of the college hires,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun.
And if you end up working in the Miami office, it's required that you learn how to make some fire Cuban coffee.
Yeah, it's like Cafecito, and it's a requirement to pass training. And make it, once you do it once, no one will harass you ever again, because I never make it, but I get Sam to make it
I
for me
like
sometimes.
It's fun.
Yeah, so that's the end of our presentation. I guess we'll open up to questions. Okay, and we answered a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so how's sort of like the day-to-day, like sort of from the morning to end of the shift, what do you guys sort of go through?
Well, we both work from home, so we could come here because our parents live in Boca. So there is flexibility for working at home, like especially a year in, you might get a work from home day, which is nice. And then it's like just special case-by-case basis, if you have something going on, a doctor's appointment, something like that, you can work from home. But yeah, essentially we just log in, like probably the first thing I do is like look at my email, see what kind of client emails, what's the most urgent, answer those. Then kind of just go into like think project by project, what things need to get done today, what are some things that like I should be working on but aren't urgent, and that kind of stuff, just figuring out how to prioritize stuff. Sometimes we go out to lunch as a group, especially on Fridays, we like to get a nice group going out to lunch together, so we like to have fun, but we also work hard.
I think a lot of my days revolve around when I'm leading calls. So I have one client right now that they're about to go live in about 2 weeks, but they're in Ireland.
Mhm.
So I have to make sure my mornings are solely dedicated to them because they're only online for a certain amount of time, and I'm also online. So my mornings are normally dedicated to that client, talking to them, making sure that they feel comfortable with and that all their test cases are fully signed off. Once that is all completed, I can then focus on my North American clients, helping out with people who have questions whenever they need it. And at the same time, kind of looking towards the future and what else I can help my firm with. So, thinking of cool, innovative ideas on how we can make this process better, because Alight really does reward that innovative side of everyone.
Yeah, when I wake up at home, which this year hasn't happened that many times, I usually start my day by saying, Alexa, what's on my calendar? Because you get a lot of meetings, a lot of times, you may get overwhelmed, so making sure that you're organized, and know what you have upcoming, it's very big. A lot of times, like this year, I was saying that I spent at a client site, so making sure obviously that you're ready to go for all the questions that the clients will have, depending whether you're doing, meeting sessions, like Heather said, or whether you're there to troubleshoot or help. My day a lot of times is also consumed with exporting data and putting it into Tableau and reporting to clients what their status is, how their test cases are doing, how many bugs they have open, how many ready for retest, what our status is of the project, at that particular time.
I think something we didn't really mention, but you just did, is that we do travel to our clients. So I think that's something to know. Your first year is about 30%, and then after that, we pick up anywhere between 50 and 70, especially if you're in the higher levels. Like our manager's gone for this whole month. So you said you were just on site for 5 weeks?
Yeah, I was on site for 5 weeks. I took a break to come here, and then I go back.
I was on site all last week, so it is kind of like grind where you're traveling with your team and like going on site. But I am home, this entire week and all of next week, so it's not like you're always on the road, but it is a job where you get to go and see cool places. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself like sales?
No.
No.
So there is another team that actually sells the work that we do.
Oh, so you're gonna come out after they sell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, how far are you guys traveling? Is it like cross-country or
As a
Florida?
client.
Well,
Oh,
Heather,
okay.
She's not a hire.
I'm going for my 4th time in a month. And then I was supposed to go to India. I've been to Guatemala, and I'm on the list to go to China next.
yeah.
But I have a really cool client that lets me do that. That's a rare case. But I'm very thankful for them.
Yeah, throughout the career, I've been to